Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Shadow Era A to Z series video. In today's video, we are doing Undead Banebow. Undead continues to be Banebow's most consistent list, and a very consistent list overall across the game. I've covered this deck before, but I'm doing the A to Z series, so we're doing Undead Banebow again. So let's hop into this game and check out the list that I've got here going for Undead Banebow. Here we have 4 Harbinger of the Lost and 2 Krugel Braggarts for your 2-cost allies. I like having 6 2-cost allies there because Banebow really wants to have that board established, and Krugel Braggart also provides an additional ping on the board. Then you got 2 Death Mage Thaddeus, 3 Death Collectors, and 3 Crypt Spawn Tormentors. I found this to be the more balanced list to go with. Death Collector really giving you a strong synergy with Necromancer's Shroud, and a strong board presence if he goes unanswered on the board, especially early. Crypt Spawn Tormentor, again, another great synergy with Necromancer's Shroud. Going with Sacrificial Lamb too, and opponents that kill it with abilities, it just later on it's just going to keep going back to your hand. Then we got 2 Durkans. Only 2 because you do need allies built up on your graveyard for it to really come into effect. Also has great synergy with Sacrificial Lamb if it's your only ally on the board. Generally speaking, that doesn't happen because Banebow really wants to have several allies on the board, not just one. But if you're stuck in that situation that you can only get a Durkan, then you're just going to be recycled right back into your hand, giving you that opportunity to slam more allies down. And then 4 Forgotten Horrors is such a strong undead ally to have. 6 cost with that ping and freeze on the board. Just a really strong ally overall. Only 5/4, so he's not really a sticky ally. He's more of a, again, more board pressure. So you have Forgotten Horror, Durkan, Death Mage Thaddeus, Krugel Braggart with that pressure right from hand on this in this list. And then for draw, we got 4 Sacrificial Lambs. Again, goes well with Shroud, goes well with Tormentor. Just a really good card overall for the undead list. Then we got 4 Hunter's Gambit. As you saw my do video, it's both board control and draw. Just a really strong card. Then we got 2 Perfect Shots. Just like in Badoo, because we are dealing with fatties, so you want those perfect shots in that deck. Then we got 1 Leyline Nexus. This could be Widespread Decay. It helps for artifacts, because you don't have any artifact tech in here. But I felt like it kind of went too much with Weevil to Crossbow also doing durability loss, so I just went with Leyline Nexus here. But you can switch that to Widespread Decay if you want, because it does have some synergy with Necromancer's Shroud if you drop Shroud early, and then on the next turn use Decay to keep the ally that you bring back. Now for our items, we have 4 Necromancer's Shroud and 4 Weevil Tip Crossbows. I did try doing 2 Crossbow and 2 Soul Seekers, but I really like the tempo that having 4 crossbows that it gives you in this deck. So that's the deck breakdown. I really like it. Now let's go and talk about the matchups that Undead Banebow has to deal with. Okay, so I don't have a lot of trouble against Zal decks with Banebow because Zal's allies are all weenies, so Banebow just tears right through them. But Zal is the same way. You don't really have fat allies. Though a lot of your allies are like 4 cost, and Zal's ability is for Shadow Energy. So that kind of goes back and forth. I think Banebow nowadays has the edge now that Soul Reaper has been nerfed. So I think Banebow does have the edge in the Zal matchup. Mages, this deck is going to have a little more trouble with because you aren't using Soul Seekers in this deck. So you're not going to have that heal to negate the burn that's going to your face. And you're going to have that same thing against Zal, that you don't have the heal necessary to keep up sometimes. So let's see, the hardest matchups I would say probably Priest and Rogue would be your hardest matchups because they're a fatty spam type of deck. And Banebow is a ping ally, so Banebow does really well against smaller allies. And I think that's why you're not seeing a lot of Banebow in this meta, because there aren't a lot of mid-range decks. It's a lot of fatty decks, and you really only have the perfect shots. Though Forgotten Horror does help a lot in those matchups. Same thing with Necromancer's Shroud. It adds a lot of extra damage, especially if you can pull back a Death Collector. Maybe you spend the 5 cost, get 4 attack, haste, with the Death Collector there. Against Priest, you can also get rid of an ally from their graveyard, so that Resurrection doesn't help out too much. Lance is going to be tough too. Ankle Breaker, fatties, early. So your matchup against Lance, it's going to come down to the early game, because your ping abilities are going to destroy every early game Lance ally that comes on the board. So as long as you have like the early game allies and early game cards, you will have a chance against Lance if you can get his health down quickly, and then finish him off. So that's how that Lance matchup goes. And of course, Elementalis is an absolute horrible matchup for Banebow. Amber is not too bad because of Weevil. Weevil really wears down her weapons quickly. Homunculus. So again, you see a lot of the times I mention Elementalis and Homunculus because they build that early board quickly, and generally you need some sort of quick board clear, something like a Supernova. Sometimes even Supernova isn't enough. Tidal Wave, Skurvox's ability. That's why Kugel Skurvox, I think, is moving up in my tier ladder, because of the more prevalence of Elementalis and Reika. So that's it. That's what I would say for the matchups in general. This is a sustain hero. It's more controlled than it is aggro, plays in the mid-range, has late game options with Forgotten Horror. It's just a really consistent deck. It's just a consistent deck. I wouldn't say pretty versatile too in terms of how it runs. High tempo. So if you're looking for a high tempo, consistent deck that runs in the mid-range, Undead Banebow is the deck for you. So thanks for watching, guys. Any questions you have, leave it down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.